Ever tried to pull a cheap, budget sewing machine into a heavy-duty project and ended up with a tangled mess of thread, broken needles, and a whole lot of wasted time? I've been there, and the frustration that follows when you realize you've spent more fixing the machine than actually sewing can be a real buyer's regret. That's why, before I even pressed record, I dug into forums, watched a handful of user videos, and compared the specs of a few industrial models. The question I kept asking myself was simple: does the Juki DDL 8700H feel like a smarter buy, or is it just another expensive piece of equipment that will sit idle because it doesn't match real-world needs? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Juki DDL 8700H is marketed as an industrial-grade, high-speed lock-stitch machine designed for heavy materials. Think denim, canvas, upholstery, even leather. What that means in everyday terms is that it's built to handle thicker fabrics without stalling, and the servo motor is calibrated for consistent speed control, which is a big win if you plan to run long seams on heavyweight cloth. I've got a couple of small business owners I've spoken with who make custom jackets and tote bags, and they swear by a solid, steady feed rate because any wobble shows up as a crooked seam that costs them a remake. The first thing I noticed, something many buyers overlook, is the inclusion of a dedicated sewing table. It's not just a slab of metal. The table comes with integrated clamps and a raised surface that keeps the fabric flat while you work. For anyone who's tried to jury-rig a workbench with clamps that slide or a tabletop that dips, this is a subtle but meaningful time saver. It means you can set up a 12 by 15 foot piece of canvas and keep it taut without constantly adjusting tension. If you're a hobbyist who only sews a few small projects a month, you might find the table overkill, but for production runs, it's a genuine productivity boost. Now, let's talk about the servo motor. Unlike the older ache-driven models that jerk when you hit a thicker layer, the DC servo in the DDL 8700H gives you variable speed control with a simple knob. In practice, that translates to a smoother start when you begin a seam on a heavy denim jacket and the ability to dial back when you need more precision on a delicate trim. The trade-off is that you lose that iconic click-clack sound that some users love because it provides audible feedback. If you're the type who thrives on that mechanical rhythm, you might feel a bit less connected to the machine, but the steadier motion can actually reduce needle breakage, something that many industrial sewers consider a lifesaver. One thing you'll quickly discover is the absence of a walking foot mechanism. Juki's heavy material line often skips the walking foot, banking instead on the high torque of the motor and the lock-stitch stability to push fabric through. For thick, non-slipping materials like leather or heavy canvas, most users report that the machine grips well enough. However, if your projects involve multiple layers of fabric or stretchy knits that tend to shift, you may need to invest in an aftermarket walking foot. That's an extra cost and an extra step, so consider whether your material mix truly demands it before you hit add to cart. The lock stitch is single needle only, which simplifies the setup and reduces the learning curve. For many small shop owners, that's a plus because you can focus on seam quality instead of juggling multiple needles. On the flip side, if you're looking to do decorative stitching, embroidery, or need a twin needle for a double-stitched hem, the DDL 8700H will fall short. In that case, a different model with a broader needle range would be a better fit. Practical strengths shine when you think about daily usability. The auto-lubrication of the hook and the horizontal axis hook mean you won't be reaching for oil cans after every hour of sewing. The machine's maintenance schedule is straightforward: a quick wipe, a check on the tension, and you're good to go. For an owner who plans to run the machine for 8 hours a day, that reduced downtime can add up to several extra pieces sewn per week. Conversely, the downside is the weight. This is not a portable unit. The whole setup, motor and table included, weighs well over 80 pounds. If you're planning to move it between different workspaces or need something you can store in a small garage, you'll have to budget time and muscle for relocation. Who should buy it? If you're a small to medium business that regularly works with denim, canvas, leather, or upholstery, and you need a reliable workhorse that can keep pace with a production line, the DDL 8700H hits the sweet spot. It's also a solid investment for a serious hobbyist who's transitioning from a domestic machine to something that can handle thick fabrics without frequent needle breakage. The value comes not just from the machine's speed, but from the integrated table and the servo motor's consistency, which together reduce trial and error and keep